Episode 1.3, Saturday's Rise. The next day was a bright Saturday. Justin used this day to go walking downtown due to severe tedium of not being able to do anything at the house. When Justin left the house, he took his smoke bombs and a lighter with him to test them out later. During his stroll, Justin spent a few moments looking around in convenience stores, then headed to the video game shop to see if they had the new Wii Sports Resort released. As the day progressed, Justin grew hungry about a minute. "Get nearby," said Justin. "First, I have to see how much cash I have." He grabbed the wallet in his left pocket and saw that there was nothing more than old hotel cards and dust bunnies in it. "This sucks," exclaimed Justin. "Need to find a job somewhere fast." Just as he was about to journey all the way back home, back to being grounded at the house, he saw an RV that said Montero Low Blood Drive. Also, in the RV were posters that said free food, drinks, and t-shirts inside. "I guess I don't need to starve myself if food is right there in front of me," said Justin. The boy later makes his way to the RV just as soon as the lines dwindle down. When Justin is finally next to the line, he sees what he cannot unsee. Justin sees a very attractive young nurse calling up for him to go next. "Welcome, Mr. McDonald," the young nurse explained. "My name is Neffy, and I'll be attending you for today." "Thanks, Neffy," replied Justin. "It's a pleasure to be here." "Likewise," she replied. "Now, before we begin, I need you to fill out a form saying that you gave us your consent to withdraw blood from you." "Okay, sure," replied Justin as Neffy gave him a red ink pen and a form for him to complete. Moments later, Dave returns to thank and take out the form from him so they can get started. "So, Justin, have you given blood before?" asked Neffy with curiosity. "Nope, this is my first time doing it," he replied. "So, I'm guessing it won't be that bad." "Oh, so that means you're not the type of guy who's afraid of needles?" asked Justin Neffy. "Me? Not at all. Why would I be scared of a little..." Justin stopped talking as soon as he saw how big the needle was. As the nurses got ready and told Justin to hold still, they immediately shut the door when he started screaming. "Wow, what was that?" asked Neffy, laughing. "I thought you weren't afraid of needles." "It wasn't the needle," replied Justin. "It started hurting when it went through my arm." "Come now, you're a big boy, right?" replied Neffy. "Besides, you just didn't relax now that the needle's going through." Yeah, you're right," replied Justin. "So, you seem to be a new face around these parts," said the nurse. "Are you just visiting?" "No, I actually just moved here this week," he replied. "This is really a nice place you got here, I see," Neffy replied. "So how did you find out about us?" "When I was walking around town, I saw your RV and it said something about free food, t-shirts and stuff," replied the boy. "Oh, is that so?" she said. "You heard about the refreshments and just decided to come. At any rate, it's a good thing you showed up. Not only is this the last of the food t-shirts, but you're going to be our last guest before you leave tomorrow at noon." "You're leaving?" replied Justin. "How come?" "Unfortunately, our jobs have us going everywhere around the country," said Ned. "So, at most, we usually stay here for a day or two before it's time to go." "I see," replied Justin. "Well, is there any way I can catch up with you all tomorrow before you leave?" "Of course," replied Neffy. "We'll be right here waiting for you until noon. It looks like the bag is practically full now. I guess that should do it," said Neffy as she and the other nurses released the needle from Justin's arm and bandaged it up. "I guess it really wasn't as painful to begin with," said Justin as he got situated and got up to leave. "Well, alright then. Thanks for everything," said the boy. "I'll see to it to make it here before noon." "My pleasure," laughed Neffy. "I'll be sure to tell the others to watch out for you when you get here." "Hey, aren't you forgetting the food t-shirts you're supposed to get?" asked another nurse as Justin was about to head out the door. "Oh yeah, I forgot about that," he replied. "I guess talking with her took away the hunger I felt earlier." As Justin grabbed the t-shirt, bought a box lunch and left, and Neffy looked at the boy with a distinct curiosity after hearing what he just said. Justin found a nice place to eat outside. under a shady tree with a bench under it. As he sat down and opened the box, he saw a bag of barbecue chips, a green apple, bottled water, and 2 turkey sandwiches on wheat. Okay, I get my hopes yet, said Justin. I hope these sandwiches don't come with mayonnaise. When he looked between the sandwiches, he saw both of them were bone dry. That could most likely be the case since box lunches do, in fact, come with mustard and mayonnaise packet. Thank you for this wonderful meal, said Justin as he indulged in his meal. As he ate, Justin couldn't stop thinking about Nephi. After seeing her long jet black hair, her brown skin, and dark, mysterious eyes, Justin knew that no matter what happened tomorrow, he had to see Nephi once more before she left for the state. Meanwhile, what pleased him like having leave from the video game store to go back to the student dormitory. However, the boy is later followed and grabbed by the football quarterbacks and his posse. After Justin finishes eating, he heads back home before it gets too late. Meanwhile, in the deep parts of the back alley, the football jerks take the boy, throw him against the wall, and grab him by the collar. You think this is some kind of joke, kid? Exclaimed one of the quarterbacks. You said this is grade A material. I turned this piece of trash into teacher. She gave me a D-. What the heck was that about? I don't know, man, exclaimed the boy. I don't know nothing about that. I put all the right answers on the homework like I promised. Look, I even did the bonus questions on the back. The teacher got on my case and said I cheated off of you, explained the quarterback. You ratted me out, didn't you tracking little runt? No, it wasn't me, said the boy as he tried to finish his sentence as the thugs ganged up on him and started kicking him in the face. The boy continued to scream for help. However, Justin sees this goes on and does something about it. This teacher be a boot-licking snitch, laughed Jock. Hey, Lyles, I heard this kid's really rich, said the other Jock. What do you say we see how much cash he really got? Well, I guess I made the right choice to bring these with me after all, said Justin as he in the corner unnoticed. He pulled out his lighter and one of the white smoke bombs he brought with him this morning. As the jocks were deciding on what ways to torture the child, Justin gets the boy's attention and slightly tells him to keep quiet, close his eyes, and hold his breath. Justin tossed this lit smoke bomb at the jocks as they continued to talk amongst themselves as the boys held his breath. Then before they knew it, small smoke bomb let off a powerful 0.6 smoke screen. What the heck is this? Exclaimed the quarterback. I can't see a bloody thing. Oh, my eyes! It burns! Where's this coming from? Now's my chance, exclaimed Justin as he immediately hit and pushed the jock out of the way to get to the boy. Justin then grabs the boy and on the ground, lifts him up, and together they run to a nearby Wilcox Corporation Center. And too quickly took the elevator and headed up to the top floor to see what the jocks are going to do next. Phew! Hey, thanks for saving my tail back there, exclaimed the boy. I thought for sure I was gonna die. Hey, don't mention it, okay? Hi, Justin. Besides, what are you doing with the school uniform on? It's Saturday. Oh, I was doing some optional extra credit work my teacher required, the boy. So, I thought it would look more presentable to show up in my school uniform since all my other clothes are getting washed. If you say so. Wait a minute, look. Said Justin as he and the boy saw the football jocks run out of the alley and relentlessly with the two. A few moments later, the two saw that they got tired and decided to go home without ever looking at the building in front of them. Phew, said the boy. It looks like they're gone now. By the way, his name is Isaac Burnsall, said Ike. But my friends used to just call me Ike for short. As they say, you pulled off a superhero move back there. Yeah, it was messy, Justin. My name's Justin, by the way. So what's your history doing with stuff like that? Look, don't get me wrong, but I was trying to impress the Power Girls by offering them help with their homework tonight. One time that did work until they first into their other boyfriends and went downhill ever since. Okay, food for thought. Never offer to do homework for the popular ones, especially not the girls, said Justin. For all we know, they were just looking for a free pass of getting out of class and more time to go out with their boyfriends and stuff like that. I know what you mean. That probably wasn't the best way to get a lady's attention. You think? Exclaimed Justin as the two continued to talk. Then a few moments later, Justin receives a phone call and answers saying hello. I can hear the yelling in front of Justin's cell phone up the way to the hallway as Justin steps out. A minute. As you probably know, it's probably time for me to get going, said Justin. Yeah, I understand, I replied. That phone wasn't even on speaker, what was it? My decision is final, Mr. Russo, explained an unknown voice coming from the hallway. But sir, you didn't even check to see if the rumor was true or not, said Mr. Russo. Besides, isn't this all just hearsay? What did I say to you the moment you were hired? Asked the unknown voice. The second we hear anything about harassment, it's an automatic termination, no exceptions. Mr. Wilcox, please, exclaimed Mr. Russo. I swear I didn't do any of those things with the secretary. Please try to understand. Oh, I understand clearly, replied Mr. Wilcox. It was a mistake to even hire you in the first place. Now, if you're done wasting my time, grab your things down my sight. Moments later, Mr. Russo walked down the hallway with a dark, melancholic look on his face as he glares and passes by Justin and Ike. Then takes the elevator down. Well, what was that about? It was like somebody just got confused with Justin. Hey, what are you kids doing here? Exclaimed Mr. Wilcox. This is the Wilcox Corporation Center. If you don't have any business with us, then by all means, get on your way. You're already hard at work as it is. Yes, sir, replied Justin. It won't happen again. Meanwhile, the two take the elevator and head down to the entrance of the Corporation Center. Well, anyways, Justin, I gotta come up with a surprise for you next week, said Ike. You don't have to, replied Justin, but if you really want to, then fine, okay? Alright, I'll see you at my school next week, exclaimed Ike. Now, I just have to make it to the doors before my sister kills me. Alright then, you take it easy, exclaimed Justin as he finally heads home before the sun begins to set. That night, Mr. Russo invites his best friend over to his house after suffering from the bad news. Ironically, the former employee of the Wilcox Corporation lives directly across the street from the McDonald residence. That night, the doorbell rang as Mr. Russo opened the door and found his guest waiting. You know, they say misery loves company, but I just had to drop by and see how my man Chris is doing, explained the guest. Thanks for coming, Sloan, said Chris. I could really use a friend right now. After moments passed, the two sit down and talk while watching the basketball game. So I take it you and your boss must have had some bad history together, said Sloan. Care to explain? To be honest, I'm just as confused as you are, replied Chris. For the past 10 years, Mr. Wilcox has been giving praise reports about how well I've been doing. I was even his Employee of the Year for 3 years in a row, too. Then, soon afterwards, people started spreading rumors about me sexually harassing the secretary when all I did was talk for a bit, then go out. Soon as the word got to Mr. Wilcox, he fired me without hesitation. What the heck is that about? Well, to me, this sounds an awful lot like jealousy, replied Sloan. Or maybe he was trying to prove something to the other employees. But what I like to know is why Mr. Wilcox would do a 180 on you like that, without even investigating the matter himself. Is there a way you can talk this out with him or something? Please, after being on the job with that man for a decade, I can surely say you have a better chance of getting words out of a brick wall than to reason with him, replied Chris. If only there was a way for me to get back at him. That wouldn't involve me spending the rest of my life behind bars. Well, before I came over, there were a few guys at the bar who got laid off from their jobs and were complaining about how their bosses were jerks, replied Sloan. Then, while I was eavesdropping, one of them brought up something called the Chosen List. The Chosen List? Replied Chris. Yeah, they said the operators of the website avenge their clients for a reasonable fee, said Sloan. So they're basically hitmen, right? Asked Chris. That's what the guy said, although I'm not so certain, replied Sloan. Also, there's a rumor going around that the operators themselves aren't human, yet they're more than capable hitmen. They haven't been getting many clients recently since the Joint Services Agency usually steps in and prevents them from carrying out their tasks. So you can try using the chosen list, although I wouldn't advise it. I see. Replied Chris. I'm really glad you showed up today. You actually made this situation less worrisome now. Anytime, dude, explained Sloan. And don't worry about it. You'll find another job real soon, and it's not like it's the end of the world or anything. Moments later, the two friends made her get by, but her step away. Later that night, Chris actually began to calm down and show signs of cheering up. Actually, I think Sloan may be right for once, said Chris as he laid in the bed watching TV. I guess things could be a lot worse than they are now. He said as he went to take a shower that evening. As Chris was washing up, the phone rings and he couldn't get to it. So he decided to wait until the situation played the message on his answer machine. After he dried off and got dressed, Chris played the message on his answer machine and went into a blind rage after hearing what was said on the message. Hello, Mr. Russo. This is your former boss, Mr. Wilcox, calling to let you know that you will not be receiving your next monthly paycheck due to your deplorable behavior in our fine establishment. Also, your disorderly conduct is hereby recorded and documented in your permanent record. So whenever you feel like taking another application, people will think twice about hiring a disgusting pervert like you. What's interesting is that you actually thought you could get away with it, but you and I know that I have a few loyal watchdogs in my office, so it was a fool's errand for you to even attempt to do what you did. But I don't mean to keep you long. I just wanted to call and give you the heads up. Now you have a blessed evening. After hearing those harsh words come from the answer machine, he immediately ran downstairs and up to his computer to type in the chosen list. Without a second thought, he found the website, typed in his personal information, and pressed submit. Now I completely understand, exclaimed Chris. It's arrogant, self-righteous scum like him why the chosen list was created. Whenever people get a little money and power, they think they rule the world. I've had it up to here with him talk to me any type of way. He's in for it now. As Chris continues to rant about how he's going to make his boss pay, 3 ominous figures appear to his doorstep and ring the doorbell. As soon as Chris opened the door and welcomed them in, they moved him aside as they entered without saying a word. One guy was very large and muscular, had the complexion of a Frankenstein monster from traditional Halloween cartoons. The next creature was the most intimidating of all, as he had gray skin dressed in a black outlaw suit. When he removed his hat, he looked like a vampire with black sclerosis, red irises, and white pupils. The creature had messy black hair, as well as large devilish smile of extremely sharp teeth. The last one to enter appeared to be just a normal young woman with purple hair, who carried a large briefcase with her. So, are you going to give us our next mission or just stand there? Asked the girl gruffly. Right, replied Chris. But before we get started, I want to ask you something. Are you all as good as they say you are? This is how it works, added the outlaw. You tell us the situation and what we're supposed to do. Then we'll discuss the price for our services. You can give us the money before or after, doesn't matter. Then we'll answer any of your questions. Any other questions you have. Fine. Let me tell you all the story so you all can get a clearer understanding of the situation. Chris replied as the 3 sat and listened to him in his story of his unforgiving boss at the mercy of his cruel, unusual boss. I have to say, son, you talk some serious blues, said the outlaw. Not even our boss would dismiss us because of something as trivial as hearsay. Seriously, that guy sounds like a stuck-up fool, replied the woman. I'd be more than happy to take care of him for you. Grunted the giant. What did he say? Chris asked nervously. Oh, he just asked what do you want us to do with the little pompous. Said the woman. That's just it, exclaimed Chris. Since he thinks he can go behind my back, decide not to give me my paycheck and write a line on my permanent record, I'm going to teach him not to screw over people. That's why I'm asking you guys to rub him and his consorts out permanently. It says, I know times are getting hard for the moment. I need to also go pick up an extremely rest off where my boss get away in his office in a safe underneath his desk. And if anyone, including bystanders, random people, or even the boy across the street, deprive you from wasting the Wilcox executives or getting the software, use any means necessary to make sure Mr. Wilcox signs the death certificate and that software is on my bed as soon as I come home from my expedition. Oh. Looks like our devious little intern has the expensive taste, said the woman. You sure your pockets are deep enough to handle it? Funny you should mention that. My life savings is enough to cover all the expenses, replied Chris, as he pulled a huge box of $100 bills from under his bed to show to the three hitmen. Well, I'll be, exclaimed the outlaw. This is just enough to cover everything. Since I know you all are as good people as you are, I'm paying you $3 up front, said Chris. I like your style, kid, replied the outlaw. Feel free to come to us anytime. I'm feeling pretty generous right now, so I'm gonna let you keep $3, he said as he took only a portion of Chris's life saving. By the way, the name's Silhouette, and this guy here is Klaus. Hold on, why so nice all of a sudden, said Chris. You might not know this, but the website business has been rather slow recently since Jay Singh has had us marked on every corner for the longest, said the woman. So we're going to be shutting down our website after this hit, making you our last chosen hit client. Oh, and my name's Noel. Klaus? Again, what's he saying? Replied Chris. Just that you need to avoid the city at all costs tomorrow, and you should probably leave Montero as soon as you get the software that's Silhouette translating to Chris. As soon as Jay Say checks the internet, they'll run hot on your heels. He and Chris's eyes were wide open as he sweated and stuttered words. What? Nervous? Laughed Noel. There's nothing to worry about, or at least there shouldn't be. Although if push comes to shove, you can always come with us. No thanks, stuttered Chris, out of nervousness. Hold on, Silhouette. What exactly are you anyway? Asked Chris, as the three were leaving his residence. Are you some kind of vampire demon or anything? No. I'm a Grim Reaper, replied Silhouette. If that's the case, then why aren't you a close animated skeleton willing to sight? Asked Chris. Instead, you dress like an outlaw with gray skin that looks nothing like the depictions. Listen to yourself, replied Silhouette. How much sense would that make for an animated skeleton with no muscle, or any kind of system for that matter, to do half the stuff people fantasize? Well, in that case, I'll catch you guys tomorrow, replied Chris, as he closed his door and went back outside to get the needed rest for tomorrow's big day ahead of him. This has been Saturday's Rise episode, and I'll be sure to post the next episode, Sunday's Fall, in the next video. Please like, comment, share, and don't forget to subscribe for more updates. Thank you for listening.